Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye reishis tfuasei kol ye'ech lav yeshamu. This is a pasuk from the Haftarah of Parshas Pinchas, and it's the last Maamar in the Likutei Torah on this week's Parsha. So in this pasuk, you have three things. You have Kodesh Yisroel Hashem, you have Reishis Tfuasei, and Kol Oich Lav Yeshamu. Of these three, the Maamar is dedicated primarily to the middle one, Reishis Tfuasei. The idea of Kol Oich Lav Yeshamu will be discussed at the very end of the Maamar. And the Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye is not really discussed in the Maamar by itself. In other words, it's only discussed in the Maamar in as much as Reishis Tfuasei is concerned, but Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye by itself is not discussed. And if you had to explain the three ideas, you would say Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye means how a Yid is by himself, or perhaps how a neshama is lamaila in an ideal state. You say Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye, that Jewish souls are Kodesh, and they come from Shem Havaya. Havaya means alakus, and Kodesh means chachma. In other words, the neshama by itself is ideal and holy and so forth. Reishis Tfuasei has to do with the neshama's descent into this world. And the pasuk is saying, Reishis Tfuasei, there are many things that descend into this world, and the Shamas Yisrael are the first of those, and that's really what our Maamar is going to be discussing. We're only going to discuss Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye in as much as it contributes to Reishis Tfuasei. And the third part of the Maamar, Kol Oich Lav Yeshamu, is discussing what happens when Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye, that becomes Reishis Tfuasei, becomes eaten. Kol Oich Lav Yeshamu means all those who eat up the Kedusha of Shem Havaya. In other words, they violate the Kedusha of Shem Havaya, and then you have to have Yeshamu. So, Kol Oich Lav Yeshamu, which is the very, very end of the Maamar, is going to be dealing with an occasion, a circumstance, where the neshama, that by itself is Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye, and when it comes into this world is Reishis Tfuasei, is violated or abused or neglected, which is what the word Oichlav means, and therefore you have to have Yeshamu, as you'll see in Mitzvah Hashem when we get to that part of the Maamar. But the Maamar, the class we're learning tonight, is focusing primarily on the words Reishis Tfuasei. And the concept, of course, is that we understand that everything that exists in the lower worlds comes from the higher worlds. And everything that exists below exists above as well. There are various differences in this concept. In other words, this idea that everything that you have here, you also have lamaila, changes from the shamas to malachim to other creations. But basically, everything that you have down here, you have lamaila. And Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye is describing what a neshama is lamaila, that it's Kodesh and it's lahavaye. And when the neshama comes lamata, it's Reishis Tfuasei. It also grows. It's planted like a seed that then grows in the lower worlds, which is one of the many metaphors, one of the many mishalim, which Chassidus uses in describing how Hashem creates the various creations in the lower worlds. It's by planting seeds, and then those seeds germinate and grow and become new entities. And the Shamas Yisrael, as they are planted, and as they germinate, and as they sprout, and as they grow, and as they mature, are tvua, they're grain, they're something which has grown in the lower world from their source in the higher world, but they're reishis tfuasei, of all the things that the Eibishter plants in the lower worlds, that then emerge and grow and become entities in that lower world, neshamas Yisrael are reishis. And why is it that of all the things the Eibishter plants in the lowest worlds, neshamas Yisrael are reishis tfuasei? And the answer is because their source is Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye. In other words, since before the neshama comes into this world, the neshama is Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye, and everything else is not on that level. It's on a lower level. He brings from Tanya and Igeres Atshuva and Perek Dalet that everything else comes from Shem Elikim. Since neshamas Yisrael in their sheidish are Kodesh Yisroel lahavaye, so when it becomes tfuasei, when the neshama comes lamata, it's reishis tfuasei. And of course, the last part of the pasuk, as I already told you, we'll see in Mitzvah Hashem much later in this series of classes on this pasuk, on this Maamar. Now, I must tell you that I was preparing this class, And I was thinking about the many other Maimorim that you have from all the Rabbeim on this Pasuk Kodesh Yisroel Lavaya Reishis Tfuas Soy. One of the familiar themes of the Maimorim of the later Rabbeim is that you have a Kriya and a Ksiv, right? Reishis Tfuas Soy, the Sof is with a Cholim, as if it's written with a Vav. And the Ksiv is with a Hey. In other words, it's pronounced as if it said a Vav after the Sof, and it's written as though it's a Hey after the Sof. And according to Kabbalah, is a huge issue in this Tfuas Soy and Tfuas So. But the Alter Rebbe, who was the source, who was the first of all the Maimorim of the later Rabbeim on this pasuk, Kodesh Yisroel Lavaya, Reishis Tfuasei, and Kolech Lav Yeshamu, does not address the Vav and the Hey, the Kli and the Ksiv element at all. He simply explains Tfuasei as Tvua Hey, as you'll see momentarily. So the Rebbe says on line 3, Reishis Tfuasei Behei Ksiv, the beginning of the Eibishter's grain. Now, of course, you know that in Hebrew the word Tvua, which is the same as the word Yavul, the Shadish is Ba, to bring, which is the concept of a harvest, something which you collect from the field, is written with a Hey. Reishis Tfuas, it's written with a Hey Ksiv. Mashma indicates the Yisrael, that the Jewish people, that in their Shadish, are Kodesh Yisroel Lavaya, that when it comes to the level of Tvua, that means being planted and growing and harvested, they're Reishis Tfuas Havaya. They're the first of the harvest of what is collected by Shem Havaya. So the Alter Rebbe asks the question, we need to understand, what is the concept of grain that is seeded and then sprouting and then growing and then being harvested? In general, the Jewish people are considered reishis of this tvua. So there's much tvua, and of all the tvua which is planted, Yisroel is reishis. This is the question. And the Rebbe goes about giving the answer in a very circumspect and very indirect way. So he begins on line 5. V'zeu shekosov, the concept of the reishis tfuasei, as opposed to the Kodesh Yisroel, can be understood by Malachim as well. I'm really not sure, this is Pshat in the Maimir, but at least this is how we're going to learn it. Just like by Neshamas, we say there's Kodesh Yisroel Lavai and there's Reishis Tfuasei. The same is true by Malachim, that it says in Siddur, that is Boire Kedoshim, Hashem creates holy ones, then Yetzir Misharsim, Hashem forms his servants, V'asher Misharsav, and that he has servants. So in many Maimari Chassidus, when they have this Boirei Kedoshim, Yetzei Misharsim, Hashem Misharsav, so the simple pshat is, Boirei Kedoshim, Hashem creates holy angels, and that the holy angels that the Eibishter creates go into two categories of Yetzei Misharsim, V'asher Misharsav, as you'll see momentarily. But in a lot of Maimari Chassidus, Boirei Kedoshim was on Malachim. In other words, Boirei Kedoshim was a Kodesh Yisroel Havaya. And then when it comes to Malachim, you have two types of Malachim. You have Yetzei Misharsim, V'asher Misharsav. What's the difference? And you should know that it says in Sfarim that the Malachim were created on a variety of different days in the 6 days of creation. Some Malachim were created on Monday, like it says that Yom Rishon and Yom Echad, the Kodesh Baruch was Yochid Ba'ilama, and on Monday there already were Malachim. And some Malachim were created on Thursday, when it says Ve'efya Efif, the Gemara says that this goes on Malachim. And it's explained in Chassidus that the difference between the Malachim created on Monday and the Malachim created on Thursday is the difference between Asher Misharasav and Yetzei Misharasav. Asher Misharasav was an allusion to the Malachim created on Monday, which are permanent. They're like a higher level. And Yetzei Misharasav is an allusion to the Malachim that are created on Thursday, which is a lower Monday, Pirush. Asher Misharasav mashma, the meaning of the word Asher Misharasav, that he has servants, indicates that that as long as there's been time, as long as there's been space, as long as in reality, they have been his servants. The Eibishter created Malachim at the beginning of time, that last the duration of time, who are in a perpetual state of service. As opposed to Yetzei Misharasim, those Malachim which are created, Heim HaMalachim, Shem Havim, this is an allusion to Malachim, which are created in creation itself. B'chol Yom, every single day, Leim Shira Lafana, to say Shira before HaKadosh Baruch. And of course, what creates these Malachim is a question, and there's probably more than one answer. But there's a category of malachim which the Eibishter did not create at the beginning of time. They're created within the parameters of creation itself, and they come and they go. So every day malachim are created. Every day they say shira, uba amira, some, and as they say shira, mizbatlim lagam, they become altogether bottle. Dahainu, in other words, there was a creative power, a power of creation from Hashem, which had to be revealed as a strength to make them be. And when they say Shira, the creative power departs limkede to its source, lias bekerch v'lei bepel, to go back to a potential state, as opposed to an actual state. And the malach which came into existence now vanishes. So you have malachim which are forever, Asher Misharasav. You have malachim which are called Yetzim Misharasim, and our Maamar speaks to the category malachim which is called Yetzim Misharasav. And again, I am going out on a limb and suggesting that just like you have Asher Misharasav and Yetzim Misharasav, you have Kodesh Yisroel and Reishis Tfuasei. The pasuk says, Tachei ha'oretz desha. There is a concept of the earth producing grass. Now, of course, literally this means exactly that. The Eibusha created the earth, and on the third day he raised the earth above the water, so that the water would sink down and the earth, the continents would rise. And on the very same day that the Eibusha made this division between land and the sea, right? All the divisions were made on Monday, except for the one division of land and sea, which the Eibusha made on Tuesday. And once the Eibusha made the division of land and sea on Tuesday, he immediately followed up by saying, that the part of the earth which is covered with land as opposed to sea should immediately be blanketed by grass, all different types of grass and all different types of environments, and so forth and so on. So the simple taich is the physical earth should produce a grass. What's the pnimius tekataich? Pirit ha'aretz. The meaning of the word ha'aretz is hey aretz. He ha'aretz ha'yena. The hay, which is the lowest level of aretz, of the supernal world, of the highest worlds. And he explains, of Malchus Datzils, that Kemei Sharetz HaGashmith, just like the physical earth, brings forward, exposes, and reveals the power of sprouting and procreating which is within her. Each day, to produce all kinds of growth. Cain, similarly, ha'oretz ha'yena, the heavenly earth, which goes on Malchus of Atzilos, Magala ke'echayis havas hashaba, reveals the power of procreation, which is within her, lebrio lis havas, to create yesh meyayin, an existence that should appear independent from ayin. And of course, the meaning of the word ayin doesn't mean nothing. Ayin means a non-thing, from the state of non-existence. This is the pshat tacha oretz desha, that there is eretz hal yena, which is represented by the letter hey, which is creating malachim, just like physically the eretz hatachtena creates grass. And with this keich of tacha oretz desha, which is constantly being renewed. It isn't only at the beginning of creation. The Eibusha made malachim, and that's the way it is. But oretz is constantly producing malachim, just like the physical earth is constantly producing grass. This have a malachim v'chol we create malachim every single day. Sheyem ru shira, they should say shira. V'yis batlulim kedam, and by saying shira, they become battle in their source. V'heim nekroyim desha, and these malachim are the equivalent of grass. So there's malachim that are constant, asher misharasa, which are higher madrege, b'klolos. And there's malachim which are called yetzim misharasim. They're lower madrege. They come into existence and they go out of existence through the recitation of shira. And the pasuk is teaching you reishis tfuasei, that there are malachim that are created every day. There are neshamas Yisroel that in bringing them lamata they're also being created. And amongst all the things that sprout and grow within the framework of creation, that are renewed and that eventually have to go away, neshamas Yisroel are called reishis tfuasei. Therefore, once we understand that there is a level of Kodesh Yisroel Havaya and Asher Misharasav, that means Neshamas and Malachim that are forever. There's another level which is called Yetzim Misharasim and Reishis Tfuasei, which comes into existence. We now explain that of all the creations that come into existence, Neshamas Yisroel is Reishis. So the Rebbe says, L'chein anu b'chol erev Shabbos. This is why Friday afternoon we say, Hagvul lahavaya b'nei elim. Hagvul Hashem, bring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'nei Elim, the sons of Elim. Elim means malachim, but in this case, Elim is missing a hey. It doesn't say Elikim, it says Elim, the sons of Elim. And Elim literally means the strong ones. So the Rebbe says like this, B'nei Elikim, heim ha-malachim shenivru m'sheishes me'bereishis. The term B'nei Elikim, which is written by malachim, is an allusion to those malachim which Eibush declared at the beginning of time that are forever. Ava b'nei Elim heim, the malachim, which are called the sons of Elim, where the hay is missing. Heim halachim shenos hava b'chol yom. It's a much lower level of a malach, which is created every single day. The bechid is hay achrein from the lowest hay of the Yebishter's name. Tuasa. Chochma tata, the lower chochma malchus and tzilas. These malachim are created, and these malachim that are called b'nei Elim, on Friday night, on Shabbos, they have an avodah of Hagvul, as you'll see later on in Mitzvah Shem in tonight's class. You know, the Friday night tefillah begins with Likutei Torah, and then of course we say, I think it's 6 kapitel tefillah. Likutei Torah, and then Shir Ad Hashem Shel Kodesh, and I don't remember all of them. You have 5 pismonim, which go in sequence, one after the next. I think it's from kapitel Tzadik Hey till Tzadik Tes. Then you have Mizmol David Hagvul Hashem B'nei Elim, which is kapitel Chav Tes in Tilim, and then you have, of course, Likutei Torah. L'chadedi, pardon me. This entire prefix is new. In other words, if you go back 500 years, 600 years, everybody's might have started with Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos, and they immediately said Baruch. In fact, there's a whole question about saying Kagavna, or saying B'meh Madlikin, saying it before davening and after davening. Gavna also was a chiddush of Kabbalah and Mekubalim. But the Friday night davening started with Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos. The Mekubalim, that means the Pardes and Arizal, introduced the idea of saying what amounts to 7 paragraphs, 6 kapitel Tilim, and then Lachot Deidi, which is an allusion to the 7 days of the week, how the 6 days of the week bring to Shabbos. This is why we say 5 kapitel Tilim and 1 more kapitel Tilim, and then of course finally we say Lachot Deidi, which corresponds to Shabbos. These are all Kabbalistic initiations. And of course, like in so many instances, most people don't even realize that this part of the tefillah is new to Kabbalah. And they certainly don't even realize how incredible it is that it was niskaba b'chol tfutzas Yisroel. The meaning of saying Likutei Torah is accepted by Sfardim, by Ashkenazim, by Chassidim, by Mesagdim, all Yidden sagen das. And it's a relatively speaking new prayer. Parenthetically, derech agav, this is Tama Zayavard, the Alter Rebbe said that if he had enough power, he would trade in the ganze Likutei Torah for Shir HaShirim. That instead of people saying Likutei Torah, the few pismonim that follow, people should say Shir HaShirim on Friday night. He felt that Shir HaShirim has a similar effect of Aliyah. But the meaning is is that on Friday night we say these 5 kapitel Tilim, 6 kapitel Tilim, and then of course Lachot Deidi. Now what's the concept of these kapitel Tilim? So I'm going to cheat. In other words, what I'm about to tell you is sort of hinted in this Maamar on line 56, which will be the end of today's class. It's Friday night. You say, "L'chuyne come, let us sing." And that's how you begin the Pismoinim, the Kapitel Tilim, which are said on Friday night. Now you know from Chassidus, where it says, "Roni v'simchi bastzion." So it says in Zeir, "Renona beramsha and simcha b'tzafra," that Renona is called singing. When does a person sing? When they're far away and they wish to get close. And the song is moishech them. Like a kol bal shir, yetzim b'shir, v'nichnasim b'shir. The song draws them up. Simcha is when you've already arrived, so you have joy. So it says in Zayar, Enana b'ramsha and simcha b'tzafra. In the morning, when the sun is shining, you have joy. And at night, when it's dark, you sing. So the pshat Likutei Torah is you're singing a song of longing, you're singing a song of distance, you're singing a song because you're on the outside and you want to be inside. And Likutei Torah, of course, is the opening of the entire sequence of Kapitel Tilim and Pismoinim, which were added by the Mekubalim in the last 500 years. Because it reflects the essence of it all. The point of all these Kapitel Tilim is that you're starting out on the outside, the Likutei Torah, and you're singing to enter into a closer relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, it's Friday night. So you're coming from the weekdays to Shabbos. So there's many things that we do that underscore, that indicate this transition. Like, for example, I'm just saying this parenthetically. Before Mincha, we say, Heid Lashem Kitei K'Elielam Chastei. And of course, the key pasuk in that capital is Yedel Ad Hashem Chastei V'Nifla'is L'Vnei Adam. That pasuk you have 4 times in the same capital. And the meaning of these words, Yedel Lavaya Chastei V'Nifla'is L'Vnei Adam, means that Hashem, a Yid, thanks HaKadosh Baruch Hu for surviving a sakona. Now the simple pshat in that capital is, there's 4 sakonas. Yom Sha'alu, Helchei Midbar, Yetzei Beis HaAsurim, and Chelesh and Esrape. But we say this Haidel Hashem Kitei K'Elielam Chastei on Friday afternoon to indicate that the neshama was in a risky position. put itself in danger for 6 days of the week to make be Yisroel and Avedis Avirudim. And when it comes Friday afternoon, it's about to go into Shabbos, when Beit Asur, you say, Yedel Havaya Chaste V'Nifleis of the Adam, thank God we survived the Sakana of Golus. So you say Friday afternoon, Yedel Hashem Kitev Keli Adam Chaste, Yedel Havaya Chaste V'Nifleis of the Adam, to praise Hashem for surviving the Sakana, Kol HaDrochim B'Cheska Sakana of the work you did all week. And when it comes to Shabbos, you're coming home to a safe place. Luchon is a little later, right? This is before Mincha, this is before Maidiv. It's a similar idea. You're singing, and in your song, you're coming close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, the last of these kapitlach Tilim is Mizmil David Hadla Hashem B'nei Elim, which of course is someplace else in the Tilim. Kapitel Tzadik Hey until Tzadik Tes are sequential, the one after the next. This is Kapitel Chav Tes. Now, it's brought Maamar Chassidus, and I'm just saying this now, that in this Psalm 29, Kapitel Chav Tes, Havel Hashem b'nei Elim, Havel Hashem kaved v'eis, Havel Hashem kaved shemei. And then you say Keila Hashem alamoyim, Keila Hashem hirim, and so on. You have 3 havus and 7 koils. 3 times the word havu and 7 times the word koil. So I'm assuming this says in Kabbalah's Sfarim, but it's brought in Chassidus and Ayin Beis, that the 3 times havu represent the aliyah from Asiya to Yetzirah, from Yetzirah to Bria, and from Bria to Atzilus. Because on Shabbos the worlds are raised up to the Madrega of Atzilus, the Madrega of Machshava. So the 3 havus represent the ascent from the Asiya to Yetzirah, Yetzirah to Bria, Bria to Atzilus. The 7 times kol, you have 7 times kol in the pasuk. Keila Hashem alamoyim, Keila Hashem hirim, and so on. I don't remember them all, but there are 7 koilos in this pasuk. Correspond to the 7 midas of Atzilus. That as the lower worlds are raised up from Byan to Atzilus, to the 3 havus, Atzilus then draws the lower worlds, which have already been raised up, into itself in 7 stages. The 7 midas corresponds to koil. Our Maamar doesn't really go into the 3 havus and the 7 koilos, but it does speak about the idea of havu and the idea of koil. In the spirit of, you have malachim that are called Yetzim Misharsa, and then you have Neshamas Yisroel that are Reishis Tfuasei, who are the effectors, who are the initiators, who set up this aliyah from the lowest worlds during the week to Atzilus on Shabbos, and they bring down the kelas, the alakus of Shabbos, to be makabel these oilim, these aliyahs. So let's begin on line 16. This is why we say on Friday afternoon, and you'll see later on that it translates the word havu not to give, but to ready yourself, to get yourself ready. Lashna zmona, like hava. Hava lavaya b'nei elim, prepare yourself to meet Shem Havaya, malachim that are called b'nei elim. Now Shem Havaya is higher than malachim b'chlal. Shem Havaya has to do with Neshamas Yisroel, like it says in the Geras Tshuva Perek Dalet, that all creations, including malachim, come from Shem Elokim. Neshamas Yisroel come from Shem Havaya. And you're saying to the malach, Hagvul lavaya, prepare yourself to greet Havaya b'nei elim, malachim that are called b'nei elim. Says the Rabbi, Bnei Elikim, Hey Mahamalachim, Schneur, Mishejes Mebreshis. The Malachim were called Bnei Elikim, the sons of Elikim were created the 6 days of creation, and in them godliness is more revealed, but it is the godliness of Elikim. Ava Bnei Elim, as opposed to the Malachim that are called Bnei Elim, Hey Mahamalachim, was an allusion to those Malachim, Sheneshavu B'chol Yom, that are created each day Mebechinas Hey Achreina, from the low where Hey of Hashem's name Chochma Tato and Malchus of Atzilus. So you're saying to the category of malachim that are called Yetzim Misharasam, that are created throughout the creation, Havu, get ready to raise yourself up and to create Atzilus, and as you'll see later on, with the help of Neshamas Yisroel, who are called Reishis Tfuasei. Says the Rebbe, Pirush Elim, what is the meaning of calling malachim of the lower 3 words Elim? As opposed to Elikim, it's a meaningless word. Translates the Rebbe's Lashon Keach. The word Eil means somebody who's strong, rock solid. And the Elim goes on this kind of strength. Kibnei Elim hem malachim dasiya. The sons of Elim is an allusion to malachim in the lowest world. And these malachim, which are called Bnei Elim, obviously are revealing very little godliness. And therefore you have to have the help of the Neshamas Yisroel. Vayadei hamalachim da'asiyah, and through the malachim of asiyah, which are called the Bnei Elim, nimshach halashpoyas leilam hazagashmi, all of the flow of life comes to the physical earth. Ein loch esav shein le mazal v'chol, every physical thing has a mazal amayla. But when you're talking about the mazoles, which are the source of the physical things, you're talking about only yesh miyesh. But when you're talking about malachim of asiyah, which are the source of all the hashpois that come to Elam Hazeh, it includes also an element of yesh miyayin. Nimtza, it turns out, hey makeach v'chayis Elam Hazeh, they're the energy, they're the life of Elam Hazeh. So you have these malachim that act as a source for all the chayis in this world. When a person eats food, in other words, the malachim of asiyah are the source of life that happens in the lower worlds to give it life and to give it existence. And then we take from the life which the malachim created and gave us, and we use it in avodas Hashem, and we raise it back up. Mis'al, it's uplifted, idei sha'adam, through the fact that a person Eichli betara eats it properly with tahara u'mispalel b'keach hahu, and davens with the energy and strength he got from this food. B'nekudas levali, in the point of his heart, idei ze misal, it elevates the physical things that the malachim brought down through their hashpah, but it also elevates gam malach, the malach itself, which was the source of that hashpah of everything in Elam Hazeh, is elevated through a yid. Hashefei yaker v'achayes lamaychalu, flows the energy and life, that particular source of life. Liyes misalav v'nichel mekir chutzpei, so that the chayes alaki should become uplifted and included in its source from which it was carved out, from which it was hewn. So bnei elim is an allusion to the koyach of alakus, which is, so to speak, hidden in asiyah, and havalavai bnei elim means their alim. There's another reason why Bnei Elim is an allusion to Malachim of Asiyah. Shenekrayim Bnei Elim Chasar Hey, the Malachim of Asiyah called Bnei missing a hey. Shal Derech Maamar Zal Begitna the Gemara says in Gitna al Pasuk Mi Kamecha Be'elim Mi Kamecha Be'ilmim. This is part of the sugya of Anizakin, of Churban Beis HaMikdash. Who was like you Be'elim in the mighty ones? So it says in Gemara Mi Shvecha Be'ilmin. Who was like you in the silent ones, that the Eibishter watches his own desecration, his own disrespect, his own violation of his honor, and he keeps quiet. So what's the taich mikamecha be'ilmim? That the Eibishter can make himself silent in the lower worlds. What is the meaning of the word ilmim in this case? Which is called the pasuk says kerachal, like a sheep goes limp, goes silent before people who shear her. In other words, physically a sheep has wool, and in the summertime it's very uncomfortable. When you shear the sheep, he goes quiet. He's very cooperative. What is the explanation? You're taking life off a sheep. The hair grew from the sheep, but there's life. The silence and the acceptance that the sheep displays and allowing the hair to be shorn off shows that the life in the wool is so little that the sheep doesn't feel any pain. It doesn't mind that it's being removed. That the godliness which is in Atzilus is not made in a shining and revealed way in Biyah. Asiyah is much lower than Atzilus. And Michamecha be'ilmim is that Atzilus is really the source of everything. Atzilus creates everything, but it creates everything in such a way that the fact that the creation comes from Atzilus is hidden. So ilmim means that the process or the malachim that are involved in procreation are silent, because the godliness which is invested in them to create is hidden from its source. But in truth, it's also coming from Elikus. V'zehu, and these malachim, which are from Asiyah, are bechinas elem mishem elikim. They're the letters elem from Hashem's name elikim. Now notice that the yud also disappeared, right? Before it said b'nei elim aleph lamed yud mem. Here the Alter Rebbe takes out the yud and makes it into aleph lamed mem from elikim. So there's two letters missing, the letters yud and the letters k. So he explains she'ein hadibur begilun, because the substance of the spoken word isn't revealed. Only the air of the mouth, so to speak, of Hashem is revealed. Sheba hevel. But not the substance. Shebahevel, that in the ear of the spoken word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ein hislapshus ha'chochma begilui klal, the wisdom isn't revealed whatsoever. As opposed to coherent speech, which is drawn down and revealed to Eibishter's wisdom and to Eibishter's seichel. You see, the whole of Hishtalshalos is a series of steps. They deliver chayas, that deliver life and energy and light from a higher world to a lower world, to create creations in the lower world, and to give them sustenance in the lower world. And the intervening aspects, the entities that contribute to affecting these transitions from the higher worlds to the lower worlds, are called parsois, they're called levushim, they're various names that connote garment-like characteristics. And one of them is malachim. In other words, chayas aliki, divine life, comes from a higher world to a lower world through a garment. And in this case, it's a garment of a malach. So you see, here's what Alter Rebbe is trying to explain. There's a phenomenon called a lakim. And malachim are connected to lakim. As opposed to neshamas Yisroel are connected to Shem Havaya. And like I mentioned before, this is discussed in Yiger Satshuva Perek Dalet, chapter 4. So let's take Havaya out of the picture. We'll get to Havaya later, perhaps. We'll talk about neshamas Yisroel and what they accomplish and so forth. But malachim are bnei Elikim. So you have two parts to Elikim. You have Aleph Lamed Mem, and you have the Yud and the K. Now, of course, before we translate Aleph Lamed Mem as silent one, as mute, which means somebody who's being separated from Elokus without protesting. But we also translated the word Elim, Aleph Lamed Mem, as power, as strength, as force. So when you separate Aleph Lamed Mem from Yud K, you are separating the force from the meaning and the significance behind that force. Let's explain it very, very simply. If a person has an idea that they want to do something, and of course, if they have an idea they want to do something, first they think it, then they speak it, and then they do it. So naturally, in their thought, the thing that they want to do is enriched, is filled with the spirit of why they want to do it. Its value, its purpose, its good, and so forth. When they speak what they wish to do, so in the spoken word, they're not just describing what they want to do, but in how they describe what they want to do, either directly or indirectly, there's the tam, there's the geschmack of why they're doing it. In other words, when people say, I'm going to do this and this, either directly or indirectly, there's also why they're going to do it and what's the value of it. But what about when they're actually doing it? When they're actually doing it, so clearly they have to do it to a certain form, to a certain order. If you build a house, you have to lay bricks properly and so forth. When you're actually doing it, the meaning and the significance for why you want to do it, and perhaps in some instances, the logic and the intelligence of actually creating it is hidden. And all you see is Elam, the actual force of creation. So think of the word Elikim as a combination of two things. It's really a combination of three things. It's Yud, K, and Elam. And more specifically, it's Yud, K, and Elam. Which is why on the previous page it said Elim as opposed to Elikim. And here all of a sudden we don't only take away the Hey, but the Yud also disappears and we're down to Elam. Elam means a malach that brings forward the power of Hashem in creation. But it's lacking the Yud K. It's not bringing forward the Y. That means the Chayes Eliki, they're the basis for the creation. And the Tam Eliki, the Oineg Eliki, which are the reason for the creation. So that's would be basically the letters Yud and the letters Hey, which would represent the meaning for the creation and the logic of the creation and the purpose of the creation and so forth. So there's malachim that are called Bnei Elim, or more specifically, malachim that are called Bnei Elim. They create Asiyah. They bring forward the power, the force of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to create the lower worlds, but they block out the Yud and the K. So the Alter Rebbe, in explaining this, compares to the two components of speech. What are the two components of speech? There's Hevel Alev, there's the air that the person exhales as he speaks. The air from the lungs blows against the five Mitzvahs, the sources of sound, or the vocal cords to produce sound. So the air itself is Hevel. And then of course you have the sounds, the individual voices, there's different types of sound that come from the different mitzvahs. So the Rebbe says Elem would be an allusion to the Hevel, to the force behind the spoken word. The Yudke would be the substance of that spoken word, just like when you speak words. The air which you blow out of your lungs is the same, whether you're saying an Aleph or a Beis or a Gimel or a Dal or a Hey and so on. But the sounds would be distinctive. Aleph would be one sound, the Beis would be from the lips, and the Gimel would be from the palate, as would the Daled and so on. The Daled would be from the lips and so on. So every letter is different and represents the substance, the Edelkeit, the purpose. The air is raw. So Elem minus Yudke would be like you have the power of the air of Hashem that's blowing creation into existence, but it's hiding the Yudke, which is the significance and the substance behind it. Now, why is this interesting? And of course, what I'm going to say now is tangential, because in Tanya, in Kodesh Siman Hey, the Alter Rebbe speaks about the same idea, based on the pasuk Ki b'ko Hashem tzurei lomim, that the Eibishter created the worlds with two letters, Yud and K. But in that Igeres HaKodesh, he separates the Yud from the Hey, and says, B'Yud nivrei el mabah, and B'Hei nivrei el mazeh. And he explains over there that Yud goes on the Pnimiyus ha'esius, the meaning, and the Hey goes on the Hevel ha'esius. So in Tanya, Yud and Hey are separate. Yud would be the sounds, and Hey would be the air. Over here, the Yud and the Hey together are the sounds. And the Elem, the force, would be the air. So you could say superficially that there's a bit of a contradiction, although it's possible that it's not a contradiction because there's different levels in the toichen and the pnimius, the substance. The substance associated with the letter Yud, there's a letter in the substance associated with the letter Hey, and Elem means where the substance is completely covered over. The bottom line is that there's malachim of Asiyah that are called B'nai Elim or B'nai Elem, which means they bring forward power, but they don't bring forward the why of that power. The why of that power is Yud K. And of course, these are the lowest malachim. These are the malachim which are called Yetzim Mishartim, that are created in the course of creation to sustain the lower worlds. And we say to these malachim, Havu, it's Shabbos. Havu lavaya b'nei elim. These malachim, which are representative of the lowest world, that conceal over godliness to create the lowest worlds, are told that on Shabbos they're going to have an aliyah, and the Taich Havu, prepare yourself for this aliyah. Says the Rabbi on line 73, this is the difference between malachim, which the Eibishter created when he first created the world, that are called b'nei elikim. Then in the word elikim, the yud and the k are included. Shem nimshachim ediburish ala Kadosh Baruch Hu. They come forward from the speech of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But their speech from HaKadosh Baruch Hu is delivered through b'nei elikim in a coherent way. They not only see the words of God creating, you see why and how. Shadi b'melubish bey, that in these speech that comes from Shem Elikim is revealed. Gili ha-chochma bina, chochma is Yud and bina is Hey. V'zeh b'chinas Yud Kei Elikim. The Yud and the Kei are chochma and bina, which are revealed in the Ilem, the words. The force of creation reveals. Not just that it's creating, but what's the meaning of the creation, what is the pleasure of creation. Mashenkim b'chinas Elam Elikim, as opposed to malachim called b'nei Elam, or b'nei Elim, that are also creating the lower world. So you see the force of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you see the Hevel HaDibur, but you don't see the Seichel and the Tam. In the air, which is forced out of the Eibishter's lungs, so to speak, to create the lowest world. You don't see the logic behind that creation and the purpose for that creation, because the Yud and the K are covered, are concealed out. So the truth of the matter is, there's logic and there's reason, there's purpose and there's delight in each creation. And to the contrary, when a person learns Chassidus, he discovers that the greatest reason and the greatest logic is in the creation of the lowest worlds. But in as much as creation itself is concerned, before Avodah, in the lowest worlds, the reason for the creation and the pleasure of creation is concealed in the creation. That's the pshat of the pasuk. I am silent. Dumiya translates out to Rebbe. Dumiya is two words. Deim yudke. Dumiya doesn't mean you're not saying anything. Dumia means you're silencing the Yud-Kei. Yud-Kei means the Chochma and the Bina, the Tam and the Seichel, which is behind the Malchus, behind the Dibur. So Nalamtu Dumia doesn't mean words are not being spoken. It means that the words are being spoken in such a way that the Yud-Kei, which is the Pnimit of those words, are concealed. So it comes Shabbos, and you have Malachim, which were created and descended to be the Levushim of the lower worlds, and you say to them, Hagvul lahavaya b'nei Elim. So the Rebbe says, V'hinei lachein, therefore, ef shalam malachim, and now it becomes impossible for these malachim, the malachim that are called b'nei Elim, la'aleis, to ascend u'lehiskalel, to become included b'chochmei law in the chochma of Atzilus, kiyam aydei Yisroel, into the Jewish people, the Jewish souls. Because the Jewish souls don't come from Elikim altogether, they come from Kodesh Yisroel lahavaya. In other words, when we're talking about Malachim, all Malachim come from Shem Elikim, but the higher Malachim come from Shem Elikim, where at least the Yud and the Kei are revealed, and the lower Malachim come from Shem Elikim in such a way where the Hey and the Yud are concealed, and all you have is Elam or B'nei Elam or B'nei Elim. So since the Malachim, all of them, don't come from Shem Havaya, don't come from Shem Elikim, the difference is how much the degree of concealment is to elevate Malachim from the lower worlds to the higher worlds. It's not enough that a higher Malach should do that. You have to have in the Neshamas Yisroel, which comes from Shem Havaya, as the Pasuk on which this Maimer's base begins, Kodesh Yisroel Havaya, the source of the Neshamas Yisroel is from Shem Havaya, and therefore can elevate Malach. Ki'im Ayidei Yisrael dafka, through the Jewish people, Jewish souls, Shem Nimshachim B'chinas Chochmei Law, their source is the inner dimension of Chochmei Law. And because Neshama Yisrael are Kodesh, which is Chochmah, and Avaya, which is Atzilus and Chochmah, therefore they're able to elevate the Malach. Lachein, line 44, which explains why. On Num Mevakshem, when it comes Friday night, we recite amongst other things, Hagvul lahavaya b'nei Elim. Translates the Alter Rebbe, prepare yourself to receive the Gili of Shem Havaya, Malachim of Asiyah. That not only the Malachim of Asiyah be elevated to the level of Malachim of Atzilus, or Malchus of Atzilus, or Bria, which are called Elikim, but to Havaya. Peter Shavu translates the Alter Rebbe, what is the meaning of the word Hagvul Lashon Hazmana? Ready yourself. Hazminu atzmeichem, prepare yourself, la'aleis v'likol, to be raised up and to be included. B'mekeir Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, in the source of Shem Havaya Baruch Hu. And the context of the discussion at this point in the Maimer is Shabbos. During the week, the godliness descends from a higher level to a lower level. And on Shabbos we say, ready yourself for an aliyah. Line 46, the Pasuk says, Sheishes Yomim Taved, 6 days a week we work. And the work that we do parallels the work that the Eibishter did. The Eibishter created the world through us, through Dibur, through speech, and Dibur, in other words, the Eibishter created the world through many tzimtzumim, and during the 6 days of the week, we also do work, B'chinas Aveda, our work is also Hayisavat Yesh Mayayin. Just like the Eibishter's original speech and action created, our avodah during the week also creates. However, when Shabbos comes, Tishbeis, you cease to do work to create worlds, and now you focus instead on raising the worlds up and being mevatel them. Zeu chazor aseilim muslim kedem, the way the worlds return to their source, b'teisvis eir aleihim, with an additional light upon them, and as a consequence of this additional light, v'nechlolim akel b'atzmas Shem Havaya Baruch Hu, they become included in the Eibishter's name Havaya on the level of Atzmas. As the Pasuk says, and when the seventh day comes, Elikim stops. And the meaning of the word doesn't only mean that Elikim stops creating, but that Elikim itself is interrupted. Elikim is interrupted and replaced by Shem Havaya. So in other words, technically you have three levels. You have Havaya, and you have Elikim, and you have Elam. Elam is Asiyah. Elikim is Malchus of Atzilus, and Havaya is Ein Sof, Chochma Ein Sof. And the Aliyah of Elim, when Shabbos comes, cannot be from Elikim, it has to be from Shem Havaya. It's explained in Chassidishe, the Hainu, what is the meaning of Vayachal Elikim? Shekol so bechinas madregas Elikim. Not only does it mean that Elikim ceases to be the basis for creation, and now Havaya is creating directly, but that Elikim stops. There's no more Elikim altogether. Shenasa kates v'tachles. This is an end, and the final purpose of this level of Elikim, v'nimshach gili Shem Havaya, and it draws down the gili from Shem Havaya. And as a result, all the malachim of Asiya called Elim or Elam, and the malachim of Malchus of Atzilus called Elikim, all have an aliyah. We therefore say to the malachim shenimshachim Shem Elikim. At the beginning of malachim with Shem Elikim, but in as much as the malachim on the beginning of Shem Elikim, they're at least revealing some chayes Elikim. Masha'enkin, the malachim which come from Elikim, which on the Medrega of Elam reveal only power and don't reveal their source. So when it comes Shabbos, we say to these malachim and to all the malachim, Hagvul Havaya, prepare yourself to receive Shem Havaya, B'nei Elim, the malachim were the sons of Elim. She'azminu atzmam, that the worlds below, and the malachim which are their source should ready themselves, la'aleis v'li kolol b'Shem Havaya baruch, to be uplifted and included in the Eibishter's name. Hamizgala b'Shabbos, which is revealed on Shabbos. So you have Hagvul Hashem b'nei Elim, Hagvul Hashem kaved v'ez, Hagvul Hashem kaved shemei, and then you have, look at line 53, Ishtachavu lahavaya b'hadras kedesh. Prostrate yourself, bow down to Havaya with a hadras kedesh, with a holy beauty or grandeur. Translates the Alter Rebbe, you have 3 Hagvuls, and the 3 Hagvuls, like I told you, was the ascent from Massei into Yetzirah, Yetzirah into Bria, and Bria into Atzilus, and then there's prostration before Atzilus when the light of Atzilus touches it. Which is in general the level of Atzilus, which is called Hadras Kedesh. Shebya Misalim Batzilus, the 3 lower worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya, which, as I said to you before, are represented by the 3 Hagvuls, is included in Atzilus, and you bow to Atzilus. Continues the Rebbe on line 54, as I explained to you in my introduction, which is also the concept of the 7 times you have Kela L'Shem B'Keah, Kela L'Shem B'Hodar, Kela L'Shem Shever Arozim, and so on. In this capital Tilim, besides for the 3 Hagvuls, you have 7 Kelas. Kela L'Shem Alamoyim V'Chulu. It says the Rebbe, Kelam Shochaz V'Yizgal Shem Havaya. The Koilos are the bringing of Havaya down. The 3 Hagvuls are the lowest worlds being raised up until you come to Atzilus and Ishtachval Hashem B'Hadras Kedesh and Bittul. And the Kelis are the godliness of Atzilus descending to raise up the Malachim, which are the garments of concealment of the lower worlds, that on Shabbos cease to conceal and instead reveal godliness into the lower world. So the Hagvuls is the Aliyah and the Kelis is the Hamshach. Says the Rebbe on line 56, V'hini al derech zehu kolinu l'chuneranu lavaya. That's the pshat in l'chuneranu which I explained to you earlier. Then you say 6 kapitlach tilim to correspond to the 6 days of the week, and then you're going to say l'chadedi, which is going to correspond to Shabbos, and the direction is up. L'chuneranu up lahavaya, shiru lahavaya, she'eim b'kabbalah Shabbos. So we say Friday night we're raising ourselves up into Atzilus. And of course, once you raise yourself up into Atzilus, Atzilus comes to meet you, and this is the Kelis. And this is the Pshat Gadol Havaya. In these Pizmoinim, you mentioned the greatness of Havaya, that Neid, who I'll call Elikim, is above Elikim, Haino call Kuf Chof Tziruf Elikim, but because of Magamachan. Not only is Havaya higher than Elim or Elim, but it's higher even than Elikim. Says the Rebbe the following, V'hinei, Aliyah Zu Haidei Yisroel. When a Malach of Asiya named Elim is ascending to a higher world, and even a Malach of Atzilus named Elikim is ascending to a higher world, it's through Kodesh Yisroel, Havaya Reishis Tfuasei. The Reishis Tfuasei is the Neshamas that descends into the lowest worlds. Kodesh Yisroel, Havaya is the Neshama as it is Lamaila and Shadish. And the Neshama, even as it goes Lamato, is connected to its Shadish in Kodesh Yisroel Havaya, and on that basis it has the Kayach to elevate the Malachim, Shem Pnimius Ha'elim, because Neshamas Yisroel are the inner dimension of all of the worlds. Pirush, in other words, Ki Kol HaNevrayim Le'Nishavu, all creations that we see would not have been created Ki Im Delach Mavid, as a byproduct, as a secondary presence, B'chtei She'ez Hava V'yezgala B'chinas Yisroel, to create and reveal Yidden. In this physical world. And why did the Eibishter create Yidden in this world? Because Yidden represent Shem Havaya. Kodesh Yisroel Havaya. And with the Keach of Shem Havaya, they fulfilled the purpose. And one of the aspects of this purpose is Hagvul Hashem b'nei Elim, Hagvul Hashem kaved v'eis, Hagvul Hashem kaved shemei, to affect an aliyah of the Chitzenius Elimus. So we learned our first class on this Maamar. And of course, Kol Eich Lav Yeshamu was not discussed at all. The idea is Reishis Tfuasei. What's the concept of Reishis Tfuasei? We're talking about creations in the lower 3 worlds. Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Creations in the lower 3 worlds are called tzmachim, plants. They're seeded, they're seeds planted, and they grow. More specifically, we're talking about the kind of creations in the lower three worlds which didn't happen during Sheishes Meibreishas, what happened subsequently, which happened all the time. And the Kodesh Yisroel Havaya comes down into the lower worlds, comes down into the creations which are formed after the 6 days of creation to also be Tvuah, sprout and grow, but specifically the Reishis Tvuah, they're the first of the Tvuah, because they're the source and the purpose of everything, because in them is revealed the Kodesh Yisroel Havaya. And with that koyach, they're Reishis Tvuah, and with that koyach, they elevate the malachim and the creations from the lower worlds when it comes to Shabbos. So this class spoke about Shabbos. The next class of the Mitzvah Shem is going to be talking about every day and davening and learning.